Let's break into some news today, of course, around Bitcoin, but also take a look at its next brethren, and that is Ethereum. Is there something brewing underneath for what could be happening with Ethereum? I'll break it all down for you. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. I want to thank our sponsor today, and that is LuxAlgo. LuxAlgo will be joining us here in a short bit, but make sure and jump over to the LuxAlgo website. If you guys are looking at trading tools that can help you analyze the markets around the world, this is one of the tools that we use here. We'll showcase that today. Make sure and use our link down below. It always helps the channel out. Joining me today is, of course, Mr. Jacob coming in from LuxAlgo himself. Hey, how are you doing, man?
And good to be back. Some crazy volatility out there.
I see you're in your spaceship trading zone again. I love that background.
Yeah, we're over here in the lab making the best indicators the world's ever seen.
I like it. Ooh, nice one, nice one. Okay, so listen, Jacob, there's been a lot of hotness in the market. Most of this has been around rumors. I mean, we saw the Matrix port situation kind of implode Bitcoin over in the early week. And then, of course, we've already started to see other things kind of playing out on this. And the volatility that has been playing into the market around Bitcoin has been pretty significant. There's a lot of pent-up demand here. I'm almost changing my thesis as to whether or not we're going to see a massive bump on Bitcoin or not. But I want to get to you. And that is, what do you think around Bitcoin right now? Is there a possibility for us seeing a 50K come in once the ETF runs?
I mean, at this rate, it's possibly inevitable. I mean, price keeps trying to fall off from this level, but it's holding. 40K is holding just fine. And it seems as if it's not ready to drop just yet. So apparently people, obviously, with all the hype around the ETF, they're waiting probably on that news to come out, and then they're going to decide whether they're going to buy this thing or maybe move their money to the ETF. That's what we're kind of waiting to see. But for now, there's no reason to even sell this at all at the level. Even though we've been rejecting this weekly order block up there around 47, you can see we've tapped it once again with that volatility. I think, so long as this price is holding this week, we're going to be just fine. We're holding that Neo Cloud really well. What we like to see is price trading above the Neo Cloud. If it touches it, we try to be a little skeptical on whether or not we're going to break down or not. But for now, this 40,000 is a lovely value we're holding. We just got a new printed bullish order block down here, which means support is pretty much confirmed when that happens. So yeah, it's just all in anticipation of that ETF approval.
Looking at a couple of tweets here, this of course showing Tether printing again. So typically in the past, this usually means we are going to see some pumps coming in both on Bitcoin, but also if you look at Tether on CoinMarketCap, you can kind of see this stair step right here on the 7-day market cap window. Typically, this indicates we're going to see a little bit of activity in the markets when Tether starts doing these shenanigans. So it'll be interesting to see if Ethereum is impacted within that. If you look further in the news, ETH mega whales continue to buy. And I'm wondering, do they know something we don't? Is this a good entry point for ETH, or how would you play this one right now, Jacob, in terms of just reading that Neo Cloud on Ethereum?
Absolutely, yeah. So this chart, it's in the same spot for a while now. The past few times we've done this, really holding that previous high is what I wanted to continue to see. Now, the oscillator has fully reset for us. Money flow has been coming out, but we are in consolidation. So it's a matter of, a waiting game at this moment. Buying wise, I mean, if you are short term, you are still the bottom of this small range, obviously, that we have here. So you could somewhat trade this back maybe to the high, but pending the ETF, I mean, it's not a bad bet because the overall market's going to be very probably bought regardless of if it's just the Bitcoin ETF. So for now on the daily, it looks fine for a possible opportunity. But the weekly is what I really like. We did have that recent change of character as well after this sell-off. So this, I think it's still extremely undervalued for this long-term type of chart that we're seeing here. So it's, lagging a bit behind Bitcoin, but for a long-term stance, absolutely. I don't see why it wouldn't be a bad place to buy it for sure.
I want to get over to Polygon. Polygon Here's a trader saying, hey, we think that this coin is going to look at some potential major upside, could explode over 100%. And then they look at both Bitcoin and Chainlink on the list. But I want to focus in on Polygon because Polygon has some news coming out this month that could cause some movement right here. This particular trader is thinking that we could see an upside on this. What does the chart show right now on LuxAlgo?
The chart, in my opinion, from what we're seeing, a little bearish at the moment. We broke structure, but now we're coming back down to this core, trading range that it had. Now this is a daily chart, but for a holding standpoint, people that are maybe waiting for that news to come out, I mean, you still have a large support here, followed by an order block and the Neo cloud, all kind of lining up. Above 80, right in there, the 80 to as low as 75 from that recent pivot. So I would say, if you're holding 75, you're good. Weekly chart is probably the biggest thing why I said I'm a little bearish on it is because we did have a liquidity grab reject off of this weekly order block. So this is nothing that I'm just going to just jump right into unless maybe that news drives it. But for now, the value I would look for is maybe, the low 70s if I were to consider a buy. As you can see, even here, from the last support, it was in the 50s.
Right.
But I think, overall with what you've been talking about, the low 70s could be a potential buying area. But daily chart, still not a huge fan of where we're at the moment. So we'll see.
So yeah, there you guys have it. We'll get into Coinbase shares next. Of course, ARK Invest sells another 4.2 million of Coinbase shares. That's not a lot if you think about it. Their stake is worth over 872 million. So I think this is maybe just a profit-taking zone for Cathie Wood, but it did come in conjunction with another 25 million that was sold this week on Wednesday. If you look at the Coinbase stock right now, Jacob, I've noticed that I've started to use LuxAlgo a little bit more with analyzing some of the traditional S&P. What does the Coinbase stock look like right now in terms of indicators? Any potentials there?
Yeah, I mean, we're coming off that high, like we talked about before. This is something we like to see, especially after an aggressive pump. We want to see some type of retracement that we know that this move is healthy, right? That's the biggest thing. We're not as skeptical now about this move after seeing 2 weeks now of a little bit of selling, which is good. So we're kind of coming off the high on the weekly, but you can notice the money flow is still extremely aggressive over that threshold there. Massive uptrend on the lows. We pull into the daily. We're still holding the Neo. In this case, we're resetting on the money flow as well. So if this Neo cloud can continue to hold, we trade inside of it. What we say now with the Neo cloud is we want to come out of that Neo cloud to consider this to continue. So for now, it's one of those things where you could technically wait until we exit that Neo cloud around 168. And then I don't see why we wouldn't at least retest the high, if not test this upper order block at 200 like we talked about. But for now, it's just kind of being patient.
I think the situation with Coinbase is, first of all, I think people are losing sight of what's happening with Coinbase. Remember that January is the date for their motion to deny to be essentially reviewed by the judge. If we get the motion to deny their MTD, I think is going to change the framework of how Coinbase may be able to go to market with this lawsuit from the SEC. So we could see some news that would continue to propel this stock upwards. But the bigger thing is this would have a long-term strategy of what's happening with Coinbase. Another thing, too, from some of our sources at Coinbase is that Base is getting ready to heat up again with more news and integration, most likely going to be some things happening around ETH Denver. So that's just coming up here next month. So there could be a lot of things that would be in line with Coinbase as a stock, and obviously the projects around Base as well. So I'm going to be watching this one pretty closely. Let's go over and take a look here on assets coming in. Now, Bitcoin obvious, yes, we understand that, but Solana also taking center stage here in terms of record highs coming into exchanges. When you look at Solana right now, we've seen Solana go up to like 115. It's retraced. We saw obviously after the Matrix port debacle, it affected the markets in a very interesting way. I think it spooked the markets to a certain extent. What does your chart show on Solana right now?
Yeah. So Solana, I kind of like this reset quite a bit. I mean, we're holding value, which is good around the 100 level on the daily. If from our recent pullback, if I pull like a Fibonacci, we're bouncing off, that 50% level. We got a liquidity grab that printed from the price action concepts, and the oscillators reset now. Money flow is still bullish. But the other thing I'm seeing is just, typical chart patterns is we have, like nice little bull flag forming here. You got, two lower lows, lower highs forming. So come a breakout above 110, I mean, this could
Yeah.
easily get pushed through that high. Now, the weekly is the only thing that I'm skeptical about. We rejected perfectly off this last order block we had right there at the high of 126. So if we were to get a breakout, I'm definitely going to be skeptical around the 135 level. But I
Oh,
mean, that's still a
that's
ways
a
off.
big
So
that's a
we
big
got some
move.
room.
Yeah,
It
that's a big
is for
move.
sure.
Even if you look at inflows hitting their record high, this is the report indicated a total inflow of 2.25 billion for what we've seen overall. And the chart is highlighting obviously Bitcoin and Solana as the major inflows, but Solana experienced second highest inflow for the year with total inflows around 167 million. This is 20% of the AUM. That's pretty significant too when you look at Solana, especially a token this size. So it is one of our key tokens that we, of course, here on the network invest in, and we like it. I'm always skeptical of all projects, but what they've been able to do around the ecosystem of the SLP tokens and just Solana in general, definitely pushing still positive here. I want to go over and talk a little bit about Say. And this is one that has had an absolute run here over the past 60 days. First of all, do you like this token? Is this pretty much kind of, hey, it's run its course, or do you think there's some opportunity here on the upside?
For the chart sake, I mean, for now, I think it's run its course, unless this sport does hold. So long as 70's holding, I like it to possibly continue. But for the sake of what we're seeing on the chart, we've had a nice trend continuation signal. But look at the amount of break of structures. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've had
Right.
2 TP points or these X's and a final take profit here. So coming out of this, this has to reset up for an actual continuation. If not, I think it's done. This is a 4-hour. That volume is going to have to step back in, but even on the daily here, it's still overbought. So I would really want this to kind of come down, find where it thinks a good value is, and then set up for its next move. Because
What
that
do you
four
think
hour
about the
just, I
money
mean,
flow?
yeah, and the money flow, as you can see, it's already about to somewhat flip to the bear side. So it's it's a matter of hoping that this value can hold and more people start buying, then the money flow continues. But hyperwave is already below 50 at 34, so it's possible. But for now, it's something that I'm not going to touch. I would be out if you were just riding this current run. And then wait for that next opportunity. On the trading side, obviously, people, long-term investors, believe in it. So far, probably paid off pretty well. So
Yeah, well, I
hopefully,
was looking at
we get that support.
one that we've been watching for a little bit of time, mainly because of the tech. Again, this is the Solana ecosystem, has been a project called Honey, and it's under Hivemapper. Hivemapper, of course, we've had them on, I think, twice now. Yeah, I think Ariel's been on twice. I'm not sure, guys, but I think twice. If you haven't seen those episodes, go back and look at them because it will give you a bigger picture on what Hivemapper is doing. They have a pretty cool tech. So even if you're not into Honey, you might be into the technology that they're really getting into. But if you look at a new token like Honey, Coinbase is talking about adding this in as a listing. So likelihood it's going to make the roadmap and going to happen. What does the chart show for something like Honey right now? Because it's a little bit obscure token, but I think it's one that people are playing with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is very, very high volatility. Something where it's that that belief in the tech. Go do your research on that technology front. See if it's something that you believe in and think it's going to succeed in this crazy market. But for the technical side of things, it's like we got this really nice pump. We're holding value. When you're looking at something that's has this volume that comes in randomly, has news about, possibly getting on Coinbase, it's something where you really just want to pay attention to what levels are holding
Right.
in this case. So like a discount for this is about 12 cents because the majority of that volume is traded from its ICO.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be an area where it's a great holding price. You can maybe see it from 15. If you're in anywhere between 12 or 10 and 15 cents, I'm saying hold on tight because at any point this thing could do exactly what just happened. In this level, if this is a proper range in which we've traded, now this is roughly one of the first times that I've looked at this chart, but we're looking at typical range here. We're mid of range, so I would say if you were to buy 18 would be probably your level, maybe before that news were to happen where it gets listed on Coinbase. That's where I'd wait. Above that, 20 is kind of rough because the high right now is 31. So for now, it's more so invest once you do your due diligence and look into what the technology is. So.
Yeah, for sure. Mobile token is another one that we're watching, and we've had both teams, Helium and the mobile team, on the show. Go back and check those videos out. If you're looking at the mobile token, Jacob, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it had this initial pump, which is really nice to see because it's come off of that.
Mm-hmm.
So this current value, talking about core value zones, is not bad. It's a nice discount, especially if you believe in this tech. So, now not a terrible buying opportunity. But in this case, for me, I would want to see it probably back up over this recent lower high that it set around that. I'm just say 3797 on the price point there for the value that we're at. But, money flow is still bearish. So that's why I'm saying I want to see it break a recent lower high. It's going to show me that there is some bullish action happening and this value is going to hold. But other than that, it's, waiting to see something that's saying, okay, hey, this is time for buying. So short term, not very bullish on it, but so long as it wants to hold this value and break out, then I'm like, all right, let's see if we can find a good spot to buy.
I'm going to ask you one thing here, Jacob. Is there anything new happening over at LuxAlgo? I was talking to the team over there about building a potential custom indicator. Anything brewing right now in terms of indicators for you guys?
We just released an update for our signals and overlays that was highly requested. Optimize the dashboard a little bit to your preference, but also our overlays, things you see like the Neo Cloud and the Smart Trail and stuff, you can adjust the length of them. So that's something people have been wanting for the longest time. You can then, go in and back test with some of our back testers, which is something that we just released as well to kind of with what type of trader you are. So like if you want quicker signals, stuff like that, you can now drop the length on the Neo Cloud or the Smart Trail depending on what features you use. Thin signals and overlays.
Sure.
But we got some fun stuff coming out here soon that we're gonna release some teasers for, so we'll make sure to update you guys when they come out.
We're going to be on the front end of that. And just so many of you guys know, we're trying to tie in what we're doing with the market sentiment index into LuxAlgo to possibly get an indicator that would be more customized, potentially to help align with our current MSI product. So lots happening here around the PBN group, and we'll, of course, keep you guys all updated on that. Jacob, it's great having you again, always. Thanks again. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Of course.
You bet. We'll see you soon. All right, you guys, if you're listening in on the podcast side, if you want to catch these TA videos like this where you get a chance to see these charts, you got to come over to the YouTube channel. Subscribe right now. Just hit that little subscribe button, and maybe hit the bell, because we'll occasionally start to go live a lot more frequently as the markets start to heat up. But the best thing is we're going to get in your algorithm and your feed, and you'll now get some of this alpha way before everybody else. And it's the only place to do it, and that's right here on PBN. Make sure and catch me out there on X. It's just @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.